Now I'm back on the main level. Pressures. I'm going to hit enter. Air pressure, which will give me my duct static, because this is a VAV unit. Or I can look at refrigerant pressures. I'm going to choose refrigerant pressures. What would DP.A be?
I don't know. He was keeping entering. It's just fun.
Circuit A, discharge pressure. So I don't need to hook up gauges or temperatures on this machine. I can read them directly off this marquee. Or for you guys, when you get the handheld, it's exactly the same structure, except instead of having to scroll by, it's going to give you 4 lines, all the information at once. And so it's right in front of you. You can stay standing on the ground.
So you can tell if this thing's flat.
Yeah, I can actually call up the pressure and look. Just like the unit that broke a line and dumped its charge, I could go and look, and suction or discharge pressure for that circuit's going to show 0. And that once a year or so that I'm going to calibrate or check the accuracy of my transducers or thermistors, your digital set of gauges, I'm going to go ahead and hook up my gauges. Machine's off, I'm going to read, 285 pounds. I'm going to see that my discharge pressure says 285. If it doesn't, I'm going to go into the trim feature and adjust it up or down so they match up. Yeah.
Where do you plug your navigator in? This
The
guy here,
LEN port.
Nav.
That one. Nothing will happen if you plug it into the CCN, though I highly recommend don't get in the habit of doing that. But it's going to plug into the LEN. So that's refrigerant pressures. Air pressures are available too. SP means what? Static pressure at 0.22 that I think you mentioned this was run out earlier. And I can always hit enter, escape, and expand it. So basically right now I know at 32% of speed or 32% of my set point, I'm making 0.22 inches of static. So basically most all the boxes down there are closed and nobody really needs any cooling, so things are shut down. If I ever get lost with the marquee or the navigator, just hit escape until the display goes blank. It'll back you out enough levels to like the root or top level. I can look up set points, see things like the time clock is in here. It's also typically they're set up with a time and date, which is helpful for alarms. I can have time and a date. Month is January. So time and date set. If I get certain alarms or things that are happening, it's nice to know that it happens at startup every morning. Or I start getting an alarm that happens at 2 o'clock, 2:30 every day. Knowing that that's when it happens is very helpful to try to help figure out what's going on. So operating modes are in there, and alarms is a big one. There's a separate LED light that says alarm status. That's blinking. It means there's been an alert. One of the ones that are typically retry. On solid is there an alarm, something that critical happened and it'll shut down. So right now we have nothing. So it alarms, current, alarms, there's none. So I can back out, and within this section I have reset current, RDOT current. Only do that after you've looked into things. If I had an alarm that shut a circuit off, it's going to show me what that alarm was, and then I do my investigation, correct the problem. I'll have to reset that alarm for the machine to start again. I have to acknowledge it, basically.
How do you do that again?
It's going to be in the RDOT current. It's going to reset any alarms I have in there. And it says none, but basically I would choose it, and it says no. Hitting the up or down arrow doesn't do anything. This is a good learning tool, right? If I wanted to change that, I have to now hit enter. Password. What's the password?
Help.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Help me. Password, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and enter it. Basically fired up 4 ones for me. First digit's blinking. On this machine, this is the default password, hasn't been changed yet. Don't change it.
We're going to leave it.
If it's the same people who work this machine always, you could actually disable the password. I like to leave it there. But all you have to do is, that's blinking. When a digit's blinking, I can change it or accept it. So I'm going to just hit enter. it moves to the next digit, hit enter again, next one, hit enter. So I entered the password and now no is flashing. I'm going to turn it to yes, hit the up arrow, because now that it's flashing I can change it. I always have to hit enter before that value to make it flash so I can change it. I'll hit yes, and that would have reset any current alarms it had. Of course, there were no current alarms, so effectively did nothing. So I can escape back, and there's my history. I always like the history. There was a T304 that happened sometime in the past. What's a T304? Who brought their book up with them?
Oh, it's right there.
Oh, that looks like a warranty card, not the book.
Oh, it's a whole book.
It doesn't have a legend on the schematic.
It's actually the book.
There's a book in here.
Is there a
So,
legend? Is there a legend on
There's a copy inside the machine. There's the controls book inside.
Yeah.
As we said earlier, escape and enter. Now it's going to tell me when it happened. January 1st, 2015, 21:30 hours. Which is,
You don't even.
can you actually even see that?
It's alright, we're showing this film again. Then you want to do it.
I'll get the next credit to you.
Put it up on YouTube.
Yeah. I didn't give you permission to like record my voice and post it. So at any point, enter and escape at the same time. It'll scroll. It'll give me the date and time, which is very helpful, and what the alarm was. In that case, that was an alert. It's been cleared since. Backing out in history, that was the only one in history. So that's that. It'll store the last 20 and then wrap around. And I can always leave it now by hitting escape twice. Screen goes blank, and now I can go to any other set point. There's, choose run status. Here's another one where I have view, economizer, cooling, trips. In the book, it'll explain what these different explanations are for trip points, but that's where I'm going to go after I've read the book. If I expect something to happen and it's not. These trip points will give me a clue about when a compressor stage might happen. So I can back out of trip points, linkage, hours. This is a good one. Through the run status, I can get hours. What would 707 hours? Or I can expand it so it tells me what that abbreviation was. There's my A1 run hours. And then I can go through the same thing, A2, B1, and B2. And back out one, hours, I can look at starts now too. Choose starts. Starts on A2, hit enter, 203 times. So starts and run hours is a nice clue for us doing maintenance to see what's going on with the machine, how it's set up. Time guards, TMGD for time guards is a location within run status. It's going to tell us this compressor is going to start in 4 minutes or 3 minutes. It gives us the timing about what's going to happen.
The current temperature below limit.
That's the T304.
Yep.
Oh, you know?
Because I pressed enter and escape and it explained it to me.
We missed looking for.
The other thing through run status, sometimes if troubleshooting things come up or if you call my guys in tech support, they know more than I do, thank God, right? Sometimes I'm going to ask for software versions. Within run status, if I scroll all the way down to version, it gives me a choice of main baseboard, ECB1, ECB2, the marquee itself, navigator. If I was plugged in, it would give me that information. So a lot of times what I want to know is main baseboard. If I hit enter, enter and escape, pardon me. It's going to be a big long set of numbers.
This thing has all kinds of alarms for HVAC.
That 07-00, the very last 4 digits are the software version. This is 7.0 software. So sometimes we might ask, you know, on a machine what software's in it. But that's through here. Same thing, the ECB, I can get what software version's in it.
Pretty cool.
So I have date and time for alarms, so I can figure out when one happened. Enter and escape on a particular alarm will expand it out, explain it to me. I can see all my temperatures and pressures at a couple pushes of a button. So maintenance things are fine. I can soft shut this thing down. I can do other stuff. Part of maintenance logs. This will directly show me amp draw on my motor. I can call up set points, escape twice till it goes blank. I can look at temperatures, pressures, or set points. What is OHSP?
We escape and enter heat. Some with the outside heating set point. Occupied.
That's my occupied heating set point. And a VAV unit bases its decisions off of that. Even though this is a straight cool unit, the fact that I'm in VAV mode, that's where I start things. So cooling mode, or the ability to start mechanical cooling, is based on a couple of numbers that are added to this occupied heating set point, which is by default 68. So with all default values, cooling is enabled on this one from 72 degrees and up. But now it's going to make its other decisions. Things such as, you know, if I started a compressor and I shot to 45-degree leaving air with only one compressor, I'm going to hold it off before it starts again.
What's cool,
So-
this thing tells you if the actuators are failed or
Yeah.
jammed, or I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty.
It's all here. It's a great unit for a service tech. It tell us what's going on
Well,
every
say
step.
you can, if it's not a problem mechanically, you can call, say, hey, there's something wrong with your actuator, call an HVAC guy and have him take care
So,
of it.
yeah.
Very nice.
And we just showed that blinking light, the force was player, but the on the actuator, like economizer, we can go in and calibrate it with this through the marquee, force it to run 0 to 100% so it learns its position, and it may come back that the calibration failed. It can't, which would be an indication I may have a problem with the actuator. And manually, I can always go in and force it to a certain position also. And that's things like, let's back out. I have inputs and outputs. I can always choose to see what kind of inputs the machine is looking at and receiving. On inputs, I can hit enter, general I, feedback, status, fire shutdown. Like if these had been set up for fire shutdown and I have a unit that's sitting there not running, I can always go in, status, one of the HVAC modes is going to be fire shutdown. So right off on my view that scrolls by always, it'll tell me why it was shut down, fire
So
status.
the fire damper shut, causing the unit not to
Yeah.
run.
Or I can always fire down here to inputs and see that I had that fire shutdown command. If I back out, let's go to outputs, fans. I can see, you know, what fans are in outputs. What is S.FAN?
Supply fan. I don't know. Why don't we hit escape and enter?
VAV unit with a drive, so I close a relay to power the drive. That doesn't mean my fan runs yet. I still need to give it a speed command, so there's another step involved about a speed command. And then, so my next step is the S.VFD would be what? Speed for the VFD, and it shows me 33%, 32.5%. So they're almost equal. Another item you'll see on your ABB keypad, next to where it says auto, and always make sure that says auto, is the spinning arrowhead, clockwise or counterclockwise. When it's spinning, it means it's moving towards that set point. I'm asking for 33%, it's 32.5. That's why it's moving, showing me that it's not there yet, it's on the way. Usually you always see them moving a little bit. So that's the speed. I can always, you know, expand out to have it spell it to me. 68.